See that red dot come on?
Yeah.
Press it again. Okay, we're here today at the Veterans Affairs Medical Center in Riviera Beach. And we're going to interview a gentleman by the name of Sir?
Louis Dean Crosby.
Okay, Mr. Crosby. And where were you born?
Actually in South Carolina.
Okay, what city?
Gaffney, South Carolina.
Where?
Gaffney.
Gaffney?
Pretty close to the North Carolina state line.
Okay. And hold on one second. Okay, that wasn't too bad. What is your date of birth?
Date of birth is the 27th of August, 1956.
And your current address?
2272 Southwest 180th Avenue in Miramar.
Okay. And besides you, my name is Carlton Cartwright. I'm the executive director of the Children's Coalition Incorporated, and I have Stephen
T. Foreman.
Yeah. And Stephen
L. Foreman.
L. Foreman, who are here performing the interview with me. Okay. Let's see. And start here, Stephen. Ask the veteran.
What war and branch of service served in?
Yeah. What war branch? Which either maybe you served in the war, or at least what branch of service were you in, sir?
I served in the Army. And you want to know a little bit more about it, like the unit I was with or something like that?
Yes. What was your rank when you separated?
I separated as a staff sergeant, E6.
Okay.
Were you drafted or did you enlist?
I enlisted.
Where were you living at the time?
Where was I living at the time?
Yes.
At the time of my enlistment, where was I living? And actually it was in North Carolina, Shelby, North Carolina, which is southwest of Charlotte, North Carolina.
Why did you join?
Why did I join the Army? I always thought the Army was interesting. I had a brother-in-law that was in the Army, and after a short stint in college, I was interested in continuing playing basketball, and the Army gave me the opportunity to play all Army basketball, and to see some of the world. So I joined the military.
Do you recall your first day in the service?
Do I remember my first day in service? Yes. This was the beginning of basic training in Fort Jackson, South Carolina. I was in the I guess the in-processing unit there, and it was pretty intense. My first encounter with drill sergeants, it was, of course, I was an older gentleman at the time. I was like 25 compared to most of the younger guys that I was with, but it was still pretty shocking.
Tell me about your boot camp training experience.
Boot camp, like I said, it was pretty intense. I was assigned to Bravo Company, Bravo 111 on Tank Hill. If anybody knows anything about Tank Hill at Fort Jackson, it's probably one of the roughest areas you want to go. It was in July, I think, of 1981, and it was probably 100 degrees plus. So, being in that hot area, South Carolina, summertime, drill sergeants running all over the place yelling at you, it was pretty intense. But like I said, I was older, so I didn't freak out too much.
Do you remember your instructors?
I can only remember one, and he was a shorter guy, Drill Sergeant Rice. That's the only guy I can see the faces, but I don't remember the names. And I think because I was taller than him, he stayed on me the whole time. He was probably maybe 5 feet tall, so yeah, he gave me a hard time.
Which war did you serve in? The World War I, World War II, the Korean, the Vietnam, or the Persian?
Spell it.
Persia.
Persian Gulf.
Yeah, Persian Gulf.
You know, you mentioned World War I and II and Vietnam. I probably look old enough to serve in all those, but I served in the Persian Gulf. There's a storm.
Where exactly did you go?
During Desert Storm, I was stationed in Stuttgart, Germany at the time. And we deployed from there to Saudi Arabia, where that was part of the intake, I guess, in processing. So we left after in processing in Saudi Arabia. We left and went through. I was with the 7th Corps headquarters, which was General Frederick Franks. He was the 7th Corps headquarters commander, the tank commander. So we were his MPs assigned to the 7th Corps headquarters. So everywhere General Franks went, we went. So we left Saudi Arabia into Iraq, Iran, and eventually into Kuwait, where we ended the war.
What was your assignment?
All of my assignments through my career?
Yes.
Okay, now you're gonna take me back. Basic training, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. First duty assignment was at Fort Sam Houston from 81 to 85. 85, I was assigned to Stuttgart, Germany. From Germany back to Fort Polk, Louisiana. After Fort Polk, back to Germany, in Darmstadt, Germany. From there, back stateside to Fort McNair, or in Washington, D.C. area. After Fort McNair, back to Korea. And from Korea, my last duty station was in Fort Riley, Kansas, when I retired. Or I missed one in between. I went to Fort Greeley, Alaska, from Texas. So about 6 different duty stations during a 4-year career.
Did you see combat?
I saw it, but thankfully I wasn't that engaged in combat. We were, like I said, our unit was tasked with providing protection for the General Franks. So everywhere the General went, we went. We didn't actually engage in combat.
Did you see a lot of casualties?
I did see some casualties along the way.
Where were you stationed at that time? I'm sorry.
At that time,
When you saw a lot of the casualties.
Oh, into Iraq, we were moving. As I said, I was with the 7th Corps headquarters. As the battle went, the General Franks went. Therefore, we went. So, like I said, we didn't actually have to engage, because by the time we got there, it was pretty much over with. So we just basically progressed as the battle went. So there were some casualties along the way, should I say, that we engaged. Normally, the majority of people that we encountered were people that changed their mind at the last minute, didn't want to fight anymore. We would take their weapons, maybe give them something to eat, and tell them which direction to go for the rear to be picked up and processed. So the 204th Infantry Company weren't engaged in battle, but we were engaged in providing security for General Franks. That was basically it. Following the war.
Go ahead and ask him.
Wait. This one?
Ask him if he was.
Oh.
Were you?
Oh, were you a prisoner of the war?
No, sir. Thank God I wasn't.
Tell me about your experience in the captivity and...
He wasn't a prisoner of war.
Okay.
Next question.
Were you awarded any medals or citizens?
Citations.
During the actual combat?
Anytime throughout your service career.
Ooh, yes. Actually, I received the Bronze Star during Desert Storm. We had, like I said, we didn't engage in battle, but we just passing through landmine areas, something like that. I was one of the squad leaders, and I pretty much took charge, took command, and got us through there. Communicated with the general, so that was a pretty intense moment. And that, because of that, I was awarded the Bronze Star. But throughout my career, what did I receive?
Just give us a few of them.
ARCOMs, 3 ARCOMs, Good Conduct Medals,
Bronze Star.
Bronze Stars, Citation Award, Superior Unit Citation Awards.
Okay.
I can't remember all right now. I'd have to see them.
I missed this. Were you an officer or you enlisted?
I was enlisted.
Okay.
I was staff sergeant.
So, all right. Okay, so we can skip that part. Did you have any? Ask him that.
Those Did you have any injuries?
Service-related injuries?
Yes, no injuries.
No? Wow. That's great.
Lucky.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Mhm.
How did you stay in touch with your family?
Staying in touch with the family, we had phones. We had some satellite phones there that we had access to. The mail system was pretty regular also, because we were allowed to. I remember writing letters on just a brown paper bag, and if we could fold it up and put your name on the outside of it and a piece of tape on it, they'd get it back to the States. So they made sure we stayed in contact with the family and loved ones. Anything you wrote on, you put your name and unit and you signed it, they would make sure it got back to the RIV. So that, along with we had some, like I said, some satellite phones that we had access to, so we could talk back to the States every once in a while.
Okay. How many different places were you stationed? You said you were quite a few, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Throughout my career, wow. Like I said, I started out in San Antonio, Fort Sam. First duty station, I said it was Germany, but it wasn't. My first was from Fort Sam. I went to Alaska.
Right.
And I stayed in Alaska, then back to the States, and then Germany twice, Korea, Fort Riley, Kansas, Fort Polk, Louisiana, and I think that was it.
Okay, let me ask you another question. Okay, how was the food throughout your service career?
Food was excellent.
Okay.
You know, the first, I say that because it took some getting used to. After basic training, everything was cake. Because you were given a minute to eat. Whether you liked it or not, you had that minute. It was yours. So once you left, you can't believe this. Oh yeah, you eat on the move. So if you had an opportunity to sit down, you really enjoyed it. But normally you got it through the child line, shoveling it in and out the back door. So
On the run, huh?
On run. That was a part of the indoctrination process. That's all it was. You know, if you can deal with that, you can deal with anything. So you make it through basic, you're ready.
Okay.
Did you have plenty of supplies?
I'm sorry?
Did you have plenty of supplies?
Plenty of supplies. You know, that's one thing the Army was never short on, supplies. Food, whatever you need.
You always had everything you needed?
Always. Always.
Did you feel pressured or stressed?
Sometimes. And that's part of the program. It's designed to add stress. You know, and it works, but you get used to it.
You had to learn how to work under pressure.
You have to.
Did you do any cross training? How many different, in the Air Force we call them AFSCs, Air Force Specialty Code.
Right.
All right. What did they call, what did they call it? MOS?
MOSs.
Okay. How many different jobs did you do? Was it you always security?
I basically had two MOSs. My initial MOS when I first joined the military was called a physical security specialist.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. Yes. And not physical security. I'm thinking about something else. It was a physical fitness specialist. I'm sorry.
Okay.
My job was to administer PT to soldiers. I had an overweight program. I had a gymnastics program. I had a pregnant women's program.
Wow.
Anything dealing with physical fitness, I was doing that as a private. So, and my boss was just full-bird colonel. So, at Fort Sam Houston, my first duty station, I thought that was what the Army was about. At Fort Sam, you know, no formations, nothing like that. I'm basically working on my own pace. But I got a rude awakening, like I said. I left Fort Sam and I went to Fort Greeley, Alaska. Then I started seeing what the Army was about. Fort Sam is like the poster. It's a dream assignment. Basically, every medical person that joins the military goes to Fort Sam to train. So all your doctors and your nurses, and it's basically a medical post. And totally different from the real Army, and I found out. But I only had two MOSs in my career. That was physical activity specialist and military police. So,
Okay. Okay.
Was there something special you did?
You can turn a page. Or? We're not interested in that. Just put that page behind that page. There you go. All right. What did you do for entertainment?
Entertainment. Oh, travel as much as possible, especially when I was in Europe. Basketball fanatic, sports, any type of sports, outdoor activity, fishing. But in a foreign country, normally travel as much as possible. Not sports.
How much? Where's all the places you traveled while you were in Europe?
Europe, wow. Europe was enough. Did I leave Europe? I went to every country. Europe has so many small countries within, 30 minutes drive. So
Well, where were you stationed there?
in Stuttgart, Germany.
Okay, so where else did you go while you were there? Tell us.
Whoa. I can't remember all the little names. BK, which is Bad Kreuznach. I went to Grafenberg.
Bad Kreuznach. Yeah, I was in Wiesbaden.
Gießen, went to Wiesbaden.
Yeah.
K-Town. Wow. Where
Did you
else?
get out of the country?
I drove, at one point, I drove to Berlin.
Okay.
Right as the wall had come down, we crossed over to,
We were there at the same time.
right into, was it West Berlin, East Berlin?
East and West, yeah.
And we went to, I remember Flughafen was that big airport there. We drove, saw the airport, Flughafen. And I was there, when I went there, it was like, what year was that? 85, 87, 89. Right, 89.
Okay.
1989,
Oh,
1990.
all right. No, I was there 80 to 82, and the wall was down. They had
Right.
just started taking it.
Right.
Okay.
So I was there.
You got
I was there.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you get to any of the other countries?
I didn't.
But this-
Spain and Italy and all those. I didn't. No, I didn't.
Didn't make it.
I
Huh?
hated that. And they offered trips too. That was pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Didn't make it there.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
What did you do when on leave?
When you were on leave.
When I was on leave, basically just toured. It was. Germany has so many sites, and like down in the southern Bavarian areas, down at Birch's Gardens. Just taking trips, and the nicest part about Germany is each little town you go to, they have their own beer. So if you went to, I can't even name, I remember the different types. Everything was a brow, like
Yeah.
brow, Schwaben brow, and Schoppen brow, whatever. So I used to go to different little towns and test the beer.
Okay.
Maybe I shouldn't say that, but
That's okay. What did you here? Do this one. What did you think?
What did you think of officer right here?
Officers.
Officer or fellow soldiers?
officers and fellow soldiers, I had some fellow soldiers, I had some outstanding brothers, MPs that I worked with, and the officers were pretty down to earth too. They weren't like the typical movie officer that you see. I remember having a chaplain that was assigned to our unit, assigned to an MP unit. He would hang out with us. I mean, he'd be in the enlisted club with us, having a drink, drinking a beer with us, and whatever. He's just like one of the guys, and that was our chaplain. So
right.
Everybody's pretty close.
Okay.
Did you keep a personal diary or journal?
No, I didn't.
Where were you when you went into service?
I first joined.
First term.
Basically at Fort Jackson, and then Fort Sam Houston.
But before that, where was your home?
In North Carolina.
And that's where you enlisted. What were you doing before you went into service?
In school, playing ball.
Okay. College?
Played a couple balls in college, yes. A couple years in college, and that was prior to, getting older and chasing women and not going to class like I should, and things kind of snowball. He's laughing at me, but that's the truth. I played a couple years East Carolina University, then I transferred to Pfeiffer, and after that, joined the Army.
Okay. And so I see you served 20 years.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. So did we you said you were in Desert Storm?
Yes.
Okay, where were you stationed there?
Desert Storm, Desert Shield. I remember it being Daharan. I think it was Daharan where we,
How long were you there?
just a week or so where we were in process. And then we started moving from one log base to the next log base. I remember our log base Alpha through, I think it was Alpha through Delta. So that was prior to, that was basically in process and getting all your gear together, and then you move on, and the equipment, our Humvees and all that stuff. And I think by the time we got to log base Delta, the war kind of kicked off and we were moving with 7th Corps headquarters.
Okay. All right, would you, where were you at when your career started winding down? How many different bases did you serve at? 5, 6, 7 over your 20-year career? What were all those bases? Can you just give us a rundown?
Fort Sam Houston, my first 4 years was at Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, Texas. The next 2 years was Fort Greeley, Alaska. The next 2 was back stateside at Fort Jackson.
Right.
Then back to Germany for 2 years in Stuttgart, Germany. From Stuttgart, Germany, back to Fort Polk for 2 years. From Fort Polk back to Germany again. From Germany, yes, back and forth to Germany. Then back to Fort Jackson. Then Korea. From Korea, my last duty station was Fort Riley, Kansas.
Okay. Is that where you separated?
I retired from Fort Riley, Kansas, yes, in 2001.
And what was that like? What was your state of mind when you were winding down to separate? What were your thoughts? What were you thinking about?
My thoughts were,
What was your job there in that last duty station?
actually I was a cadre. My last couple of years was a cadre, was similar to a drill sergeant.
Okay.
I was responsible for all the in-processing of the new soldiers, because Fort Riley had its own in-processing, like a first replacement center. So I was pretty much a cadre drill sergeant, working to wake them up in the morning, making sure they would shower, get to breakfast, get to class. After class, make sure we march them to lunch. After lunch, make sure they get to chow and back to the barracks.
So you're a drill instructor?
Basically.
Yeah, okay.
But they called it a cadre.
Right, gotcha.
That was the last almost 2 years, so I was kind of looking forward to retirement. I didn't know where. And that was another story too. We just decided to just basically flip a coin and see where we retired, and we ended up here in Florida. So
Who's we?
the wife and I.
Okay. All right. Okay. So you didn't really hold on. Just you didn't really care about when you separated, did you?
Not really.
That's how it sounds.
After 20 years of moving every 2 to 3 years, it didn't really matter.
Right.
Because it couldn't be any worse. So the only stipulation was to move to a warm weather climate area.
Okay.
So we decided, California, Arizona, Florida, South Carolina, Texas, places like that. And we started drawing, actually we physically started drawing these from a hat.
Right.
Because we put 2 of everything in the hat. Seriously, this is a true story.
Really? 2
of everything. So she would draw one, I draw one. So the first 2 that came out, the first 2 that matched was Florida. So we said, look, we're moving to Florida.
That was it.
When I retired, we just drove to Florida. Didn't know where we were coming, and we stopped in Fort Lauderdale and got a room until we found an apartment. So.
Okay, well, I see you wearing the uniform of an officer now.
Yes, sir.
How long have you been an officer?
I've been with the VA for 10 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're with the VA, right? Okay.
VA police officer, yes.
Was that so? When you separated, did you use your GI Bill?
No, sir. Mm-hmm. And not use the GI Bill. Actually, I didn't know much about the VA at all until I moved to Florida, and I met the chief of police here, and he briefed me on the VA police. I applied, and I got selected, and I got hired in Miami at the VA, and got a job opportunity, and I moved here.
Okay. All right, here, you pick this up here. Pick it up. So when you got out, how long were you out of work. When you separated, did you take a break?
Actually, no. Actually, I was out of work for like 2 weeks.
Was it?
And I was bored out of my mind.
Gotcha.
I got a job for 6 months working with G4S now, the Tri-Rail trains
Yeah.
in here.
Yeah.
I worked there for 7 months until I met the chief of police, and I applied for the VA.
And that was it.
And I've been here.
Okay.
I can't.
Here's. Did you make?
Did you make any close friendship while in the service?
While in the military?
Yes.
Yes. Quite a few.
Did you continue any of those relationships?
Yes, and to this day we still call each other. I call to Germany, Washington D.C. area, where I have friends in Kansas. I call still Georgia. We got people all over. We still keep in touch, and I have a phone plan so I can call anywhere.
How long?
International. Yes, sir.
No. He's got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
The other Stephen.
Was you a mean drill? Cause this
Sergeant.
Sergeant?
Yeah.
Of course.
like, was you hard on them, like hard down?
Of course.
Why?
That was his job.
It's just part of the job. I was the nicest guy in the world, but I didn't want them to know. I would not tell you. As a matter of fact, I never called anybody by their name. It was, hey, you. I would say it was, yeah, hey, you, come here. I would see officers, soldiers, they would see me and they try to do everything they could to avoid me. If I saw you, I would get your attention. That's just part of, can't call it a game, but it's part of training. Drill sergeants are not mean by nature, but I didn't know that. You wouldn't know that. And, it's just part of the training cycle that they have to put you through. It's part of being stressed or responding under pressure. No, they're not mean.
Did you enjoy a veteran? Did you join a veteran organization?
Other than police related, like police benevolent associations.
What about DAV or VFW?
I was a member of the VFW. Thank you.
Okay.
VFW, even before I joined the VA, I was a member of the VFW.
Okay.
I've been to the DAV, but I'm not a member there. But yes, VFW.
Okay.
What did you?
Well, we already know what he did as a career after the war. He's a police officer for the VA.
Okay.
Ask him the next question. Did your
military experience influence your thinking about war or about the military in general?
Did that influence my decision to join the VA?
No. Read it clearly. Did your
military experience influence your thinking about war or about the military in general?
Did my experience influence my thinking about the war?
right? Well, how do you feel after being in the military for 20 years? Okay, and you've got plenty of military experience. Okay, how has that influenced your thinking about war in general?
Oh, okay, I got you.
There you go.
War is necessary. War is necessary, but if it can be prevented, I think it should be prevented. As a last resort, I can understand how the presidents would feel in sending young men and women into harm's way, and that should be as a last resort, not as a tool, to control or whatever, but as a last resort. And like I said, sometimes it's necessary, but I don't have any negative thoughts toward war.
Okay.
And my military experience has helped me understand it more, being around it, being associated with it, and being a part of it. So it's like I said, sometimes it's necessary.
Okay.
How did your service and experience affect your life?
Well, it taught me a lot of that's okay. It gave me more structure. increased my, I would think my discipline. It exposed me to other things that I never would have been exposed to had I not joined the Army, military, different parts of the world, different people, different cultures. But I think overall it gave me more discipline and a better work ethic, making sure that I'm more responsible. It just helps you as a young man. It helps you into manhood.
Is there anything you would like to add that we have not covered in this interview?
Not really. I just, I enjoyed my military experience. I never had a bad duty assignment. There were some bad places, but I have not had a bad duty assignment. Loved them all. And I really have nothing negative to say about military. Nothing. Thanks for the interview.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your recollections.
You're welcome.